Okay, so robots are pretty much everywhere now, right? They're delivering our food, helping out in hospitals, even navigating our cities. And let's be real, sometimes they're going to fail. It's just inevitable. But here's the really interesting part. When a robot messes up, the way we react, well, it's not as simple as you think. It actually tells us a whole lot about ourselves.
So let's just jump right in. Picture this. You see a service robot fail. What's your first instinct? Your gut reaction. Are you blaming the machine, the company that made it, or is it something else? Well, it turns out the answer to that question really hinges on one tiny, specific detail.
I mean, you've probably seen stories about this or maybe even witnessed it yourself. You know, a little delivery bot getting kicked over or an airport guide robot getting totally stuck in a crowd, unable to move. Failures like these happen all the time. But the fascinating question is, how do we, the people watching, judge what happened? A really cool study decided to dig into this to uncover some of our hidden biases.
So to figure this out, the researchers came up with a super simple, really relatable scenario. Just picture this. You're sitting in a cafe, and a robot waiter is bringing some food over to a table. It's a scene that's not even that futuristic anymore, right? But what happens next, that's what tells us everything we need to know about our own psychology.
The way they set up this experiment was honestly pretty brilliant. They showed people two scenarios that were almost exactly the same, except for one single crucial difference.
Okay, so in scenario number 1, the robot waiter is just walking along and, whoops, it just falls down. On its own. A classic machine malfunction, you know? But in scenario number 2, as the robot is walking, a person actually sticks out their foot and hits its leg, causing it to tumble over. In both cases, the result is exactly the same. Broken dishes all over the floor. But the cause? Totally different.
So take a second and really think about it. Which robot would you judge more harshly? The one that just fell or the one that got tripped? Your first answer might feel totally obvious, but what the study found reveals this really weird and fascinating quirk in how we think about machines.
All right, let's get into the results. The researchers measured exactly how people felt about the robot in both situations, and the answer? Well, it's probably not what you're expecting. It shines a huge spotlight on a powerful bias we have when it comes to blaming technology.
And the results were crystal clear. Get this, people had a way more negative attitude towards the robot that failed all by itself. When a person got involved and caused the fall, people were actually more forgiving of the robot. They blamed the machine less when they could see a human was the cause.
So the takeaway here is huge. We are way tougher on a machine when it messes up for no obvious reason. The exact same failure, broken dishes, is seen so much more negatively when we can't just point to a person and say, they did it. The big question, of course, is why? Why do we do that?
Well, the reason for this goes pretty deep into our own psychology. The researchers figured out it all boils down to this one powerful idea called deservingness. It's this deep-seated, fundamental need we all have to believe that the world is a just and fair place. You know, that people and maybe things get what they deserve.
So deservingness is basically that little voice in our head that says good things should happen to good people and, well, bad things to bad people. It's how we make sense of the world. So when we see something bad happen, like a robot falling and breaking stuff, our brain automatically starts searching for a way to justify it. We need to find a reason why that robot deserved to fail.
And that is the absolute key to this whole thing. When a person trips the robot, we immediately see the robot as a victim. It's clear, the human is the bad guy. But when the robot just falls by itself, there's no obvious victim story. So our brain just fills in the blanks. We subconsciously decide, oh, that robot must be junk. It must be faulty. And because of that, it somehow deserved what happened.
Okay, but here's where it gets even more interesting. It turns out not everyone reacts this way. The study found that another huge factor is your own personal confidence with technology. Psychologists have a term for this. They call it self-efficacy.
And it basically works like this. If you're someone who's not very confident with tech, maybe robots make you a little nervous, you're more likely to just blame the robot no matter what happened. But if you're super comfortable with technology, if you have high self-efficacy, you're way more nuanced about it. You're the one who can clearly see that the tripped robot was just a victim of circumstance, and you're much, much quicker to forgive it.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool little psychological quirk, but this is way more than just a fun experiment. Understanding this bias has massive real-world consequences. It matters for the companies building these robots, and honestly, it matters for all of us as we try to live and work alongside more and more of these autonomous machines.
For the companies making these things, the advice is actually pretty straightforward. If your robot fails because someone messed with it, have the robot say so. A simple error message like, "Oops, I think someone pushed me," could totally change a customer's reaction from anger to sympathy. It's also on them to teach us how to interact with these things properly and to use their marketing to set the right expectations. It's all about designing around our funny human brains.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this. We hold our technology to a different standard, oftentimes a much higher one. The researchers themselves said it perfectly, pointing out that customers just react more negatively when advanced tech fails compared to when a human employee makes the same mistake. Our forgiveness for machines, it seems, comes with a whole lot of strings attached.
And that really brings us to the final big idea here. The fact that we can feel genuine sympathy for a robot when we see it get kicked, that says so much, doesn't it? It proves that our relationship with machines is never going to be just about whether they work or not. It's about our sense of fairness, of empathy, of what something deserves. And as we keep building this robotic future, maybe the most important thing we need to engineer isn't just a better robot, but a much better understanding of ourselves.